Talk to me about Florida. You were there for what?
Yeah.
5 years? 6 years? Like
Yeah, I
82
was
years
there.
old?
Yeah, I was there. I came in 82, left for the first Starcade for a while, came back, left in 84 for 6 months and came back to 85. So I was in and out quite a bit. Yeah.
Was there anyone more over than Dusty Rhodes in Florida?
No. No, it was amazing. You know, my guys and I always say, you know, it was sold out. They're hanging from the rafter, stopping people on the exit, say, show us your tickets or that you live in this your license. Well, if any babyface should have went over that night, you know, after he came in and did a job in the middle of the ring, we were off and running. So, but they cried with them, they laughed with them. He was one of them. Amazing personality.
Yeah, it's just one of a million. And like you said, you can't make a Dusty Rhodes. You know, you can't book a Dusty Rhodes. Dusty's Dusty.
Yeah.
Tell me about being the cult leader. I mean, where did that come from? What inspired you to start doing that gimmick?
Well, here's the thing. I didn't start the gimmick coming in with a robe and the face paint and all that. I started out as a misunderstood babyface. I came back to Florida. I had booked for Mulligan in Knoxville. I was a heel. Him and Barry and Kendall were baby faces. And the dressing room was split. The Wyndhams, meaning the three of them, Magnum TA and Steve Kern, said, don't trust them, to Mike Graham, I think Mike Rotunda, a couple other baby faces. So the dressing room was split. So I just worked like a baby face until I wrestled Barry on TV for the title and did a real simple finish. He went to leg dive me. We wrestled 56 minutes. At the 50-minute mark, I went to leg dive him. He stepped the other way. I fell on the floor. He held the ropes up. I came in. At 56, he went to do it to me. I held the ropes up as he came in. I kicked him in the face, beat him. Then I hit Mike Graham with the belt. But every week, I started to go down a rabbit hole. But you got to remember, MTV's brand new. Billy Idol, White Wedding, Thriller. The horror genre is on, you know, Predator, all the other ones. The culture was changing very quick. Plus, I'm in Florida, you know what I mean? The illicit drug trade in Florida, you know. So I fell into reading all about that. And then I had just come back from spending a lot of time in Asia, like Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong. And I used to go out and go on, I didn't like to stay in my hotel room, so I would go out and visit stuff. So I'd go out to the cave temples and stuff like this and read about it. So I put that in. So maybe someone would say, what's this guy talk about? Like the beetle nut. What the hell is that? And then there was no Googling, but maybe they looked in the dictionary, saw what a beetle nut was and say, oh, it's a psychedelic nut that they chew in India and spit. And he would say, well, oh, I see what he's talking about. I was trying to give subliminal messages off.
Tell me about working with superstar Billy Graham.
I mean, I was lucky. Every baby face I worked with was much bigger than me. I had Blackjack Mulligan. I had Dusty. I had Andre. I had superstar Billy Graham. And we did that great angle where I threw the chair with Humperdinck. We hung him. And then he did something that was way ahead of its time. Rather than doing an interview, he did it in still pictures where he went to the desert to purge himself and he voiced over it. And I mean, I was off and running with Billy too, because he had never been, that I know of, a babyface maybe years before that, but there was never a babyface. And he was a big babyface in Florida. So we were lucky.
Did you like working with Billy?
Oh, I loved it. Loved it. It was
Yeah.
a night off. Yeah. And his interviews were so great. He could talk about building.
Yeah. Talking about the Varsity Club, that's one of my low key guilty pleasures. I love that era of NWA. I love that group. I mean, Steiner was just such a young raw stud at the time. You had yourself, Rotundo, Dr. Death. Tell me about them.
They don't get enough credit. I wish it had lasted longer. It was, it was one of those things. What's wrong with this picture? I mean, we had Spivey too. You know what I mean? We had Rotunda, Rick, Dr. Death, Spivey, and then me. It's like, what's wrong with this picture? But that was Dusty's idea. When I asked him why he put me with them, if you probably won't remember this, but they were having all kinds of scandals at colleges at that time. Frat guys, under the table money, the point shaving, the point shaving of basketball, the drug use, all that. And he just dropped me in there with them. But they were phenomenal. They were phenomenal. And I just was lucky enough to be in the position to be with them. They were terrific.
What was it like helping groom a young Rick Stein? Did you know you wanted to be such a big star?
Yeah, I knew it when he started to turn babyface. The people were turning him babyface. And he was just working like a heel. And I went to him, Dusty, I said, the only time I've ever seen this before, the people are actually forcing it, were with you, Dusty. I was there when Dusty turned babyfaces. And Dusty said, okay. And I said, I don't think we can keep this guy babyface another month. And I was right. About 2.5 weeks later, Dusty said, we got to do something on TV this week and turn him. He was great. I really enjoyed being with Rick.
You had another underrated group, the Sullivan Slaughterhouse. I mean, the talent you had in that group: Buzz Sawyer, Cactus Jack, Bam Bam Bigelow. Got any good Buzz Sawyer stories?
Yeah, Buzz. I mean, if you go to YouTube, there's one there. Did you ever see when Buzz did that frog splash they used to do off the top rope where he broke his wrist?
Yeah, it was you guys and Dynamic Dudes.
Yeah, he didn't even half-ass sell it. I mean, Buzz was brutal to those guys. I mean, brutal. And he wasn't just, people say, well, he must have been a bully. He wasn't a bully. He did it to everybody. Iron, he would do it to everybody. Iron kicked his teeth out, I mean, Buzz was Buzz, you know what I mean? And a great performer.
Great bumper.
Yeah.
What about Mick Foley at the time? Any good stories of Mick?
Oh, I knew Mick was going to be. He was so different. You know what I mean? He was so different. Didn't fit the mold of the guys in that era. Had that great view. Take those ridiculous high bumps. I mean, I knew he was going to be very, very big. Not as big as he became, right. But he was great.
You worked for ECW for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
What can you tell me about your interactions with Paul Heyman?
I started Paul in the business.
Really?
Yeah, he came down to Florida. He had a guy that was going to be a wrestler. Paul didn't get paid for, I don't think, 2 weeks. I put him, the guy's name was Tombstone. I put him against Scott Hall. I'd have Scott drill Paul every night. And then I couldn't chase him away, so we broke him in the business. Paul, I just saw an interview of him the other week. And that voice, he's an orator. He tries to be King Curtis. I mean, he can rally the troops That's for sure. In the dressing room, can he? Yeah. Yeah. But Dusty did have something special. I mean, the people absolutely loved him. And people, I've heard people say, well, Dusty didn't do jobs. Dusty did jobs, but he did it at the right time. Like when I came back and I did the deal with the ink in the sister's face, and I wasn't even in the territory, and Dusty went on strike. That was his idea. He went on strike until they unsuspended me. We came back in Lakeland, and this was one of the few times I can remember